Okay, thank you so much. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second session of the second version of our virtual National Microinsurance Forum with the theme Facing Uncertainty Through Strategic Innovations. This event is being organized by the Microinsurance MBA Association of the Philippines, also known as RIMANSI. And of course, we would like to acknowledge and thank our major sponsors. We have 1CISP, BPI-AMTC, Card MBA, CPMI, Globe Business, NATRI, PhilCare, and RMSI, and of course, our member Microinsurance MBAs. So we would also recognize the unwavering support of the Insurance Commission to the microinsurance sector. So I am Aleli Mojica and I will be your facilitator for this afternoon, and we are glad to still have 479 participants here in Zoom, and we also have viewers in our Facebook page. So for some technical reminders po before we proceed with our session, so the participant's mic will be put on mute. So if you wish to speak, you can raise hand or you can use our Zoom chat box, or you can also comment in our Facebook live. Please also use reaction button to respond to our resource persons and facilitators, and please maintain your camera on for better interaction kung kakayanin po ng ating connection. This session is also recorded for future reference and playback, and we encourage everyone to ask questions. So you can raise hand or you can send us your questions via the chat. And for your related social media posts, you can use our hashtag NMI Forum 2022. You may also want to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, so the recording of our sessions will be uploaded in the YouTube and can also be found in our Facebook. So moving forward, so this afternoon, we will be having three parts of our session. So we'll be having a keynote presentation on the Philippine Economic Briefing, and then a panel discussion on driving product and distribution innovations amidst pandemic disruptions, and a feature presentation on technology, leveraging technology and reaping its maximum potential for your microinsurance business. So supposed to be, we'll be starting with a keynote presentation on the Philippine Economic Briefing, but we're just experiencing some technical difficulties, so we will go first with our panel discussion. Pero before we proceed sa ating panel discussion, so we have prepared another trivia question for you. So kaninang umaga about sa typhoon and kung kailan nagsimula ang National Microinsurance Month, no? So ngayon naman, so related sa ating panel discussion. So with that, can we have the question on the screen, please, Miss Judith? So I hope our participants will answer our poll question. So here's the question. According to the 2019 Financial Inclusion Survey of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, blank % of the total adult population owns a smartphone. So sa total adult population natin, ilang percent daw po ang nagmamay-ari ng smartphone? So we have 30 seconds to answer. So meron na tayong 12% pa lang ang nakakapagsagot. So sagot lang po ang iba pa nating mga kasama. Yan. So we have 30 seconds. Okay. So paramihin pa po natin ang ating mga participants answering our poll question. So ayan, umabot na ng 45%. So abutin po natin ng more than kalahati naman. Okay, so okay, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ayan, so meron ding mga sumasagot sa ating chat box. So salamat po and congratulations. More than half din po ng ating mga participants got the answer correct, no? So it's 62%. So according to the survey ng BSP in 2019, 69% of the total adult population have mobile phones. And sa 69% na ito, 3/4 or 75% ng mga mobile phone owners, ang pinagmamay-ari nila is smartphone. So that is equivalent to okay, sorry. So, mali pala ako. So, 52% yung tama pong sagot natin. No? So, the correct answer is 52%. So, 52% of total adult population owns a smartphone. So, 30% of our participants got the correct answer. So, ayan. So, according to the 2019 BSP Survey on Financial Inclusion. So I think we are now ready to proceed with our panel discussion, again entitled Driving Product and Distribution Innovations Amidst Pandemic Disruptions. So for this part, we will explore product and distribution adaptation strategies that the key insurance and microinsurance players have put in place to continue to be relevant to the changing needs of clients and continue to provide outstanding customer experience. To moderate our discussion, we are pleased to have the current chairman and president of Card MRI Publishing House. She has been in the development work for the last 22 years, where she has taken on various positions at different capacities. Her areas of expertise include managing communications, partnership relations, and development project management. She is a graduate of BS Development Communication at the UPLB and of Master in Entrepreneurship at the Asian Institute of Management. Let us all welcome with a virtual applause, Ms. Marilyn Manila. Hello, Ms. Marilyn. So I'll just put you on spotlight. Okay, and unmute.
Ayan. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, ang dami pala nating participants today. I'm seeing in my screen 480. So welcome po sa session natin, Driving Product Distribution Innovation Amidst Pandemic Disruption. So ang session po na ito, I will just give you a very brief background of the session. So there was a survey conducted by the Deloitte Center for Financial Services, and that survey expects actually increasing economic recovery and additional technology investments despite the lingering concerns about COVID-19. However, kahit sinasabi nung survey that there would be accelerating economic recovery, meron pa rin daw mga multiple challenges na kailangang harapin ng ating mga insurance dealers for 2022. So they range from economic hurdles such as potential for sustained inflation, concerns about climate risk, diversity and financial inclusion, and the ever-evolving consumer product and purchase preferences. Dito naman sa Pilipinas, sabi ni Commissioner Dennis Puna, yung 2021 daw, despite the pandemic, was a year of growth. So with similar uptrend in investments and assets. So emphasizing mostly on digitalization of the industry. So both the life and non-life insurance industries acknowledge the openness of the clients to online related transactions and increased trust in online dealing with their agents. Sabi din ni Commissioner Funa, the insurance industry will remain on its growth path in 2022 daw. And then given as well that the industry has adapted and continue to adapt their business operating models to the call of the time. So he further emphasized that raising public awareness of insurance protection, introduction of new products, are important to increase the insurance penetration rate here in the Philippines. Pero how does the microinsurance sector get on this product and distribution challenges given the disruptions brought about by the pandemic? So this session will tackle product and distribution adaptation strategies that the key microinsurance players have put in place to continue to be relevant to the changing needs of clients and continue to provide outstanding customer experience. And we are very lucky today because we are very honored to have with us an expert and a very experienced industry leader. Our esteemed resource person speaker for the panel discussion is the CEO of Pioneer Inc. Holding Company of the Pioneer Insurance Group of the Philippines. He is the board chair of the Microinsurance Network. It is the only non-profit global multi-stakeholder platform dedicated to promoting inclusive insurance to low-income households. He has over 35 years of experience in both general and life markets via simple, affordable, and accessible products. And he is the champion of the sachet insurance. So Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming um, the one and only Mr. Lorenzo Chan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Marilyn. So, maraming salamat and magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Right. So I was asked to talk about driving product and distribution innovations amidst pandemic disruptions. Diba? Parang nakakabulol yung subject matter, no? Kanya lang let's try to simplify it through the slides, no? Next slide, please. So this is a quick outline of what we'll cover today. So we are now, I think we are going to soon complete 2 full years of the pandemic. And if we go past March this year, we'll be starting the 3rd year of the pandemic. You know? So medyo matagal-tagal na rin. So asan na po tayo ngayon? Ano bang naging impact sa ating industriya ng pandemya? Ano ba nagbago? Meron ba nagbago? Ano ba ang mga undeniable truths? No? And what are consumer preferences and barriers? Did they change? What about the mobile wallet? Ang daming, diba? Napaka-big hit ata ngayon sa pandemya ang mobile wallet. And then of course, nagbago ba ang mga disenyo ng ating insurance products? O napaka-boring pa rin nila? Katulad ng dati, same old, same old. Okay, and then ano bang suporta na inaibibigay ng ating industriyang microinsurance sa ating mga kliyente at ating mga ahente? And of course, saan tayo nanggaling? Saan po tayo ngayon? Saan po tayo ngayon patungo? Where are we headed? Inclusion and sustainability in an online age. So is this going to happen? Next slide, please. So let's talk about saan po tayo ngayon. Where are we now? What is the impact on the insurance industry? I'd like to make a little clarification. Very often, people say, ay, nako, nagbago talaga, because of the pandemic, we had to do digital technology, diba? Go into technology. That's not exactly accurate, folks. Because even before the pandemic hit, bago pa nagkaroon ng pandemya, marami na mga iba-ibang effort to test out technology and digital. Many companies, many players, the MFIs, the rural banks, the MBAs, the insurers were doing that already. Kanya lang, syempre, yung iba ating mga kasamahan, may pagka-Jurassic, so may pushback. Wag muna, di ba? And may pushback, medyo ayaw, gusto nilang may hawak na papel, imbis sa soft copy, di ba, etc. Now, so ano nangyari? So the pandemic merely accelerated it. Minadali ng pandemya. Because of the pandemic, and we cannot do face-to-face anymore, to be in the same room or across each other, because we prefer not to touch paper, because paper could be a way of transmitting the virus. So soft copies were preferred. No? So you email and then you print out. So what the pandemic really did was it accelerated, napadali, ang ating transition into technology and digitalization of our processes. In fact, we have to say, had we all not done some investments in technology and digitalization, where would we be today? So it really, we can say that because the industry did do a bit of that, it became some sort of savior. It became a savior. Okay, so let's talk about examples. So anong nagbago sa ating mga sistemas at mga procedures? Obviously, a number of insurance companies and other firms started selling policies and their products using apps. You can download an app and then you can do a purchase. You can enter your data there. So there was now a greater focus on improving the existing systems. Whereas before, isang tawag lang, sisipot, etc. Now, the system has to work because people can access it on their laptop or access it on mobile through the app, ika nga. So in fact, some insurers have actually put up a portal where clients can file their claims or they can go to it and find out, ano nangyari na sa claims nila, ano nang naging status, di ba? So that's quite good. Of course, naging uso yung WFH, WIO, mga work from home, work in the office, and mga hybrid. Okay? So, ang mga ibang mga taga-industry natin na nakapag-advance investment in technology and digitalization, better chance of working from home. If you don't do as much, then you have to work more in the office. But ultimately, we're seeing a hybrid setup. No? In fact, pabalik na nga ng marami sa opisina. No? There's a mix of that until Omicron hit us. No? So medyo na-stalled na naman yan. But that's really temporary. We saw a lot of client engagements online. Agents and financial advisors were online and sending notices to clients and prospective clients. So, in fact, even our regulatory authority gave us some relief. Our regulators extended various extensions of deadlines for filing and submitting reportorial requirements. No? And then there was a time, binawasan pa nila ang magiging penalty for non-submission or late submission of these requirements. No? So that's really, that's all in sync with the effort to help each other and have ayuda. Okay, next slide, please. Let's talk about the undeniable truth. What has been the truth, and it has not changed. Number one, the need for insurance is ever present. Now more than ever, we are aware that there's a need for insurance. The pandemic did not create the need. The pandemic merely reinforced that we need insurance. Why? Remember the first year of the pandemic in 2020? The Philippines started off with volcanic eruption. Pumutok ang Taal volcano. That was followed by an earthquake, and that was followed by numerous typhoons, one after the other. Anong ibig sabihin nun? It meant, just because we have a pandemic going on, the calamities do not take a break. They don't give us a break. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin nun. So there's a need for protection and risk management. And so the pandemic, hopefully, can be moved as a wake-up call that will make people realize that that crisis and disaster are real possibilities that can happen anytime. But it can be mitigated if we have insurance. Okay? What else? The pandemic aggravated the need, na highlight. Why? Because in addition to the typhoons and the earthquakes and all that, there was economic impact. The lockdowns. Some people, could not go to work. Some people had to shut down their stores. They could not operate. The closure of business, the loss of jobs. And now this aggravated a need, an economic need, some of which could be addressed by proper, useful insurance products. And more about that later. And of course, the truth is, the usual barriers to insurance still exist. So what are these barriers? Well, some people will say, ang dami-dami yung insurance company, hindi ko kilala, no? Sino ba yan? Credibility of the insurer. And then, ang hirap-hirap naman, ang daming hinihingi. Diba? The usual accessibility in both enrollment, or onboarding, and claims processing. And of course, there's the issue of physical versus virtual. But now that there is a pandemic, we're trying to convince more people to do the virtual. Okay. And then, of course, we add to all of this a key issue. The consumer has a shrinking wallet. Yung mga ginagastusan niya. Diba? Why do I say that? In year one of the pandemic, medyo okay pa. Many people were using their savings, and then nagkaroon pa rin ng ayuda ang gobyerno. So, meron na pagkukunan. But in year two, last year of the pandemic, iba na, di ba? Umiiba na yan, There wasn't as much ayuda. And a lot of the people, and a lot of the savings was used up, So people became even more conscious about what they spent it on. Next, please. All right. So what are the consumer preferences and barriers? Has it changed a bit? Or is it still the same? May konting pagbabago. There are more customers now looking for flexible billing and payment options from insurers, ilang installments. Unlike before, the tendency is, okay, they pay you up front. There's now that tendency of that. They're looking for coverages, additional options, services, or benefits beyond the usual products. And that has had an impact on product enhancement. Again, we talk about that later, okay? There's nothing more. The best example of this, other coverage options and benefits beyond the usual, is something we call teleconsult. You will all realize that even before the pandemic, may teleconsult na yan, di ba? It's a phone-in service that you ask about health concerns and consultations and all that. But, and some people were using it. But, nako, wow. During the pandemic, that became the star, bida siya, because people couldn't go to hospitals. They couldn't do a face-to-face with their doctors and MDs. So, teleconsult. Diba? So it became, for the companies that actually invested in that, wow, perfect timing. And of course, people look for alternate ways to update their accounts, to renew their policies, to process claims. No? And we have lots of kwento for that, no? That comes in later. Now, then we talked a bit later kanina about the credibility of insurer and the accessibility in enrollment and claims. So that's all done. We tackled the shrinking wallet already. But now, this is the big issue we have with the customers. No? That's a challenge. Connectivity. Connectivity is a big issue. And okay nga, di ba? Nagkaroon na tayo ng digital. Kinumbinsihin na natin sila na mag-soft copy, na mag-app. Kanya lang, walang internet, mabagal, mahina ang connectivity, problema niyan. And we have a reputation in the Philippines, no, all over the world. Our internet can be quite slow and expensive. No? I think it's one of the slowest in the world, and our internet and services are very, very expensive. No? So that's a challenge. Okay? Kaya nga kadalasan pag nakikipag-usap tayo sa internet, di ba? Nagtataguan tayo, may boses lang pero hindi natin nakikita yung visual, yung video, no? Kasi nga nakakakain ng bandwidth, di ba? Sayang nga talaga, di ba? Because sometimes pag nakikipag-meeting tayo, hindi nga natin alam kung tulog na ba yung kausap natin o hindi, di ba? Lalo na katulad ngayon, nagpresent po ako, di ba? Baka kalahati sa inyo natutulog na o yung kalahati man di ba, kumakain. Pero okay lang. Let's go on to the next slide. That's par for the course these days. Okay. 2 years into the pandemic, ano na nangyayari? So, mobile is on the rise. No? Dito, nakabida dito mobile wallet. Pero talagang bibidahin namin sa slide na to ay the mobile apps. No? Mobile apps are really used by internet users in the Philippines. No? So we have a survey as of third quarter of 2020, the survey study by category. No? Sino mga gumagamit ng mobile app no, na matindi? And shockingly, nakabida yung banking and financial services apps. No doubt, baka a large part of this 42% of respondents, diba, ages 18 to 65, are using banking and financial services apps. No, maybe a lot of them are using banking apps. But kasangkot na, banking apps maybe, and but kasangkot na rin dito ngayon ang insurance. Kasama na siya. And that's not bad. 42% of the respondents. No? So what is this is what's happened. But what is the forecast that's going to happen? Next slide, please. Now, this is the mobile wallet that we're talking about. The forecast is that the penetration rate of mobile wallet in the Philippines is going to increase almost 3 times in 2025. So if you look at that, it's just about, in 2020, it's just a little over 20-something percent. But by 2025, it's forecast to go way over 60%. That's a lot, isn't it? 63.4%? That's a lot. That almost means a drastic change in the way we pay, in the way we spend, and in the way we receive, payments. Next slide, please. And just to give you some proof of the evolution, 2 years into the pandemic, bidang-bidang mga mobile wallets, no? And I highlight 3. No doubt, at the forefront, GCash, 51 million users as at last and still counting. At ang kanyang competitor and partner, Paymaya, 38 million users. Okay? Even in the field of MFIs, of MBAs and all that, launched in 2017, Connect to Card is a mobile app that allows card banks over 7 million clients hassle-free banking transactions anytime, anywhere. And in fact, they've really done this to make payments friendly, can be client-initiated or agent-assisted. No? And the agent-assisted model is interesting to look at, no? Because you're marrying digital with still face-to-face. Again, we talk a bit about that later. So this is really evolving. This is really changing already, even as we speak. No, for so long the mobile wallets were in place. Diba? You have GCash and then all that, and then the version in smart money. Pero the take-up was very low, mabagal. But now all of a sudden, just about every entity that you're dealing with has an option to be paid via GCash or PayMaya. All right, let's go next. So what about the mobile wallet as an insurance sales channel? It's there. A lot of people are using it. So why not? And in fact, the industry has now entered the mobile wallet, utilizing it as a potential channel. And so we've done, we did a quick look, scan of the market, and under GCash, there's an offering called G-Insure. And so these are various products that for which they have partners with different insurers. No, hindi lang iisa, kundi iba-iba't iba. So there are products now that you can buy over GCash for medical expenses, for income loss, either due to accidents or other causes, dengue insurance with free COVID cover, online shopping insurance, motor cover, that's CTPL, at saka comprehensive, may basic personal accident, and of course there is mobile insurance, for the mobile phone. And so I think I took a look at it, and it covered pag na-damage yung screen, and some naman are full phone protection. Okay, so umiiba na yan, no? The take-up is not as much for some as for others, but it is a start. It is an option. It is an evolution. Okay. Next, please. So what about the competitor? What's a competitor? Meron din siya. Hindi rin siya magpapahuli. So as an insurance channel, PayMaya has managed to launch Mobile Protect, which again, to protect the phones. Of course, kailangan, di ba? It is the industry, di ba? The mobile phone. So there is that. They also have what they call their Personal Protect Bundle for permanent total disability, dengue fever, COVID-19. So there's a bit of that. Again, available for purchase online on the mobile wallet. Next, please. So let's go to product design. Remember, we talked about all these options now. So the channel, remember guys and gals? So the channel of distribution has changed. Now we've added new ones. What about the product? Nagbago bang disenyo ng mga produkto? Yes, in a way. In fact, nakapag-introduce, we scan the market, and the market's actually introduced new products. Okay. Competitive, we've seen a lot of competitive products, comprehensive, sustainable, and suitable to the changing consumer needs. Example number one, business interruption. Remember kanina, nag-usap tayo, and I said the pandemic aggravated the need for insurance because of the impact economically. Diba? So people closed their business, they lost their jobs, etc. So there's a need for business interruption. So while the market has not yet reacted in giving business interruption due to COVID, because there's not enough data, it's the first time we're going through it, it actually encouraged the market to give business interruption for other coverages arising from other needs, like what? A typhoon, a flood, an earthquake. There will be business interruption. So there's now, the market now is seeing some of these business interruption cover arising out of natural calamities on a micro level. Now, also, because of the fact that we now have mobile wallets, you need a lot of cash in, cash out options. Tama? Because ultimately, mobile wallet. Pero saan bang entry point ng pera sa wallet? And if you really want cash, where will you get extra cash? Diba? So you need money, cash in, cash out entities. No, some of these are stores, but you cannot put enough stores everywhere for people to access. No, so the next thing that the industry is doing is they're putting up moving stores. Moving stores in the person of cash in, cash out agents. Ito yung mga nagsisilbing cash in, cash out na gumagalaw. Now, they need to be protected. There needs to be coverage, for the risk that they are exposed to. That's money insurance, fidelity insurance. Again, on a micro level. And of course, hindi rin nagkakalayo that, whereas there's COVID insurance on the general level, there is COVID-related insurance on the micro level. And because the pandemic is a real health issue, it highlighted, the fact that the ER insurance and hospital cash are very useful tools. No? They're already in existence. No? Kanya lang, naging highlighted ang kanilang role and their use and the benefits that they bring during the pandemic. Okay, so you're seeing these products take shape. New products rolled out and enhancements in others. Next. Okay, so how else have we evolved? How do we support clients and agents and channels? No? So during the lockdowns in year one, there were insurers that offered extension of cover during the lockdown. Kasi nga hindi nga sigurado can I just do can I just extend it for a while? Others naman simplified their enrollment and renewal process. I think kami naman at CPMI, if I can say so, what we did was we had people actually, because remember face-to-face, diba? Micros, a lot of it face-to-face. And lockdown, you can't go out, there's no face-to-face. So what we eventually did was we tried to SMS, and then we tried to do mobile calls, and Viber and WhatsApp. And not everybody has it. But anyway, did you know there were actually clients who SMS'd us or who reach us through Facebook Messenger and said, ano mangyari sa cover ko? Mag-expire na po. Ano mangyari doon? They were conscious enough. Now, we think people who are conscious enough of this should be acknowledged, reward is not the right term, positively reinforced. So what we said was that, okay, because you've contacted us and you're worried because you want to renew, but there's no way you can renew, there's no face-to-face, there's no way to pay, etc. Because you've told us of your intent, we will consider that advice good already. Let's consider advice good. No? So pag lift ng lockdown, pwede uli magkita o pwedeng bayaran nila, di ba? Through the usual channels. That's one. What else? Why is that important? That is important because certain coverages have waiting periods. No? Pag nagkaroon ng time lag at gap, edi mag-umpisa uli yung waiting period. Diba? Pero pagka ganito ang ating treatment, wala na yan. Diba? So tuloy-tuloy yung cover. So there is an ability for us to simplify it. Now, times are tough, you're trying to do it digitally, etc. And so, again, the need to simplify the process, even for onboarding and enrollment. Diba? Pero it's such a challenge. No? So we continue to push for 7 data fields only because, to simplify to what is necessary. So of course, there are always challenges kasi kalaban natin dyan, KYC, kalaban natin dyan, AMLA. Kanya lang, folks, diba? Ang palaging ina-argue ko sa mga regulatory authority, itong AMLA na to na anti-money laundering law, di ba? Talagang really talking about a certain market or certain, individuals who might do it. But we're talking about micro, medyo low-income sector pinag-usapan natin, di ba? And I always say, di ba, what will they launder if not for dirty clothes, di ba? So even that is to be adjusted somehow. Okay. So, of course, during the lockdowns, what have we learned? Let's do physical claims. We can't do physical claims validation anymore. So let's do virtual. Let's use the camera on the phone. Right? They can take pictures. They can use the live camera to take us through it for us to do it. So instead of filling up a form, a phone interview might work. So these are all efforts to improve the process and make it more convenient for the clients, or the channels. But with safety checks in place, hindi naman ibig sabihin we give up everything and halabira kahit ano, okay na. Okay, so we have that, and then so there's increase of more payment facilities or collection partners for faster both payment of premiums and claims payout options, diba? So nakadagdag yan during the pandemic. And of course, we have seen insurance providers really offer better value. Some have given more value without increasing in premiums, no? Some have given good value increase in coverage amounts, no, for only a little premium increase, no. So this really is a very good effort if they can do so, and if they can afford to do so, because it's giving back. It's giving back, and it's adding value to the market that needs it the most, no, the micro market, and it reinforces and helps and it encourages them to keep buying insurance and paying for it, no, because na may benefit and there is something good that they may get out of that, no? Okay, and it's always better to give it before they demand for it. Okay, so these are all different ways we've adapted to engage customers, no? But ultimately it's really a hybrid approach, no? And not just completely digital. And then I talked already about the cash in, cash out agents. So we're nearing the end of my talk, and so let's go to the next slide. Saan po tayo patungo? Are we headed? Where are we headed? Inclusion and sustainability in an online age. Is this really possible? Of course it is, guys and gals. We're here already. It is happening. It is happening. The world is evolving, and whether we like it or not, we are changing along with it. So let's see what are the quick, for me, what are the quick final points, no? Next slide, last slide. High tech cannot replace the human touch completely. Yeah. Madalas pinag-usapan natin tech or touch, no? Technology or human face-to-face, no? Ang hirap na magsabihin ng touch, di ba? Kasi hipo, di ba? So it's tech or touch, the human face-to-face or just pure technology. I don't think technology can ever replace the human touch completely. Why? Insurance is still a product that has to be pushed. Okay? Insurance is still a product that has to be sold. Ika nga, ang produktong insurance na pangseguro ay kailangan ng pusher. Kailangan pa rin ng pusher na magkukumbinsi na subukan nyo to, okay to. Diba? Walang kusang nagigising araw-araw at saka nagsasabi ng, uy, bibili po ako ng insurance. Hindi pa ho yan nangyayari. Not yet, anyway. So because of that, they need that face-to-face interaction of someone they know, someone they trust, who tells them, okay to, subukan nyo to. Nakabili na rin ako, okay yan. Okay? Ultimately, but what has changed through the pandemic? What has changed is that some of this process can be blended with digital. Hindi naman ibig sabihin lahat ay face-to-face and old-fashioned hard copies, no? Hindi po. May blended approach. Kasi nangyari na yan eh. Nasubukan na ng ibang tao, okay, pwede ako mag-renew. Pwede ako mag-renew sa pagka-SMS lang. Or, pwede akong mag-claim ng insurance through my mobile phone, no? At binidyo ko lang. So they know that it can work, no? So we think what may happen is really blended. So ika nga, for new accounts, for new people that you want to convince to take out insurance, face-to-face pa rin kailangan siguro. And that face-to-face could be physically or that could be online, no? But face-to-face pa rin yan. And then, pagkatapos, nakabili na, naka-claim na, nakatikim na, the renewal may be done digitally. Pwedeng they go on the mobile app and then they enter the details and then they renew already. So this could be a mixed approaches, no? So already you're seeing, no, that approach. And of course, much as we love digital and much as we admit, no, that is the wave of the future, anyone going into digital should be aware. You need online mode, but you need offline mode. Lalong-lalo na sa Pilipinas, di ba? And when you go to micro, you go out to the fields, walang connection, walang connectivity, mahina ang signal, walang cell site, you will need an offline mode so that you can automatically upload when you come across civilization again. Okay. So, yeah, so the whole is, so I hope that was helpful as a quick snapshot of what's happened during the pandemic. And so I want to say thank you. And I look forward to the discussion afterwards. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Sir Lorenzo. So before we go to the reactors, let me just highlight some of the points that were given in the presentation. So, ang sinasabi doon, in the microinsurance market, it is vital to remember that despite the calls of the time, kailangan pa rin yung personal touch. So, tama naman yung example ni Sir Lorenzo na yes, the technology can come in at the renewal stage. So, mahalaga para sa ating mga market that our agents, our distribution channels are someone that our clients know, someone that our clients trust. So, kakabit nito, we have to be able to read the market trends at yan naman ay nasa presentation din. So, what we have observed in areas of product development, pricing and distribution and premium payment, kailangan nababasa natin yung trends na yan. And then yung sa bandang huli ng presentation, it is said na kailangan talaga na may technology pero hindi ibig sabihin ay pure technology, hindi rin naman ibig sabihin na pure face-to-face. So mahalaga na naiintindihan natin paano natin gagawin mas efficient yung ating blended approach. So, umpisahan na po natin ang reactions from our panel of reactors. I will briefly introduce them one by one. So, ang ating unang panel reactor is Miss May Joy May Armada. She is a licensed insurance broker, and she is currently the OIC and Operations Manager of EnsureMePh, insurance broker. It's formerly known as the Microinsure. So among significant contributions, the industry in which she participated actively are the launch of the first weather index-based crop insurance in 2009, Insurance Commission-led TWG Technical Working Group for Microagri and the Parametric Insurance. And she's also a member of TWG for Distribution Channel and Consumer Protection. She is now working with the Insurance Co team in developing its own online marketplace for more affordable and accessible insurance products. So that's Miss Armada. Our second panel of reactor is Mr. Jaime Jose Javier or Jimmy. Mr. Jimmy Javier is currently the NATRE Senior Vice President and Head of Life Reinsurance. He has over 25 years of experience in the insurance and financial service industry, handling management position in sales, marketing, operations of life and health insurance companies, health maintenance organization, and bank assurance organizations. He has also technical knowledge and competency in actuarial, information technology, and investment. So prior to working with NATRE, he was with Baltic Device Protection Philippines, Film Life, General Insurance AIA Philippines. He also has significant experience in Indonesia. And our next panel of reactor is Mr. Raymond Peter Chanko. Mr. Chanko is currently the VP, Head of Sales and Marketing of PhilCare. During his 9 years at PhilCare, he has held various positions at different capacities, but prior to that, he has also worked at Business Retention Manager and Corporate Officer of MaxiCare. His expertise are on the areas of healthcare, account management, and employee benefits. Our last panel of reactor is Mr. Maniebo. He is a microinsurance advocate. He is currently the General Manager of RIMANSI Mutual Solutions Insurance, Inc. So there you are, our esteemed panel of reactors. So first we will hear a brief reaction from our panel. We will start with Ms. Armada. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Ms. Marilyn. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Lorenzo, for painting a very clear picture of what happened to the insurance industry and how it coped up during the pandemic. I totally agree that going digital is the way to go, but without totally losing that human touch, especially during after-sales customer servicing. And I also agree that transitions to digital distribution and the use of technology is already there prior to the pandemic. And the pandemic just highlighted the advantages of going digital, and it also really helped lessen the negative impact of the pandemic to the insurance business. I would like to talk a little bit more about our distribution with GCash, which we started actually prior to the pandemic in 2019. So we started using the telesales model, and then later on the SMS model as a means for the customer to enroll to insurance, wherein the customer will just have to text a product code to get enrolled to subscribe to an insurance coverage. Premium payment can be monthly or annual. So premium payment is auto deducted from the customer's wallet. So once they subscribe, they don't need to worry on how to pay their premium because it is being scheduled automatically by the system through the use of technology. So renewals is also done automatically. In event of claim, payout is being paid directly to the customer's wallet. Prior to the pandemic, enrollment is still outside the app via SMS. And then during the pandemic, when it started in 2020, we still see an increase in enrollment actually. And in 2021, we started integrating the enrollment process inside the GCash app. We see that there's an increase in number of users inside the app. And when we started integrating the enrollment process, wherein the customer can browse the products inside the app, and then they will, once they choose a product, they will be redirected to their SMS application where they can send the product code. We really see relevant increase, like more than 300% increase in number of enrollments to insurance. But we do not really see it as due to the relevant increase as well in the volume of transactions inside the app or the number of people that uses the app. But it is directly influenced actually by the push that we do. As Mr. Lorenzo said, kailangan ng pusher for the customers to buy the product. So you have to raise awareness because people, will not use their GCash app primarily to purchase insurance, right? They'll use it for their other transactions, or most recently, most people use their GCash app to bet on online sabong because it's already there inside the app. So you really have to have that push, have that awareness campaigns, let customers know that they can actually get insurance or browse for insurance products inside the app and can get enrolled. In terms of so that's for digital distribution. Aside from mobile wallet, yung highlight din I think during the pandemic is the use of online lending apps, online lending applications. So most people, instead of going over the counter or to the traditional lending institutions, they can go online, install online lending apps, and the transactions there are convenient, easy, and it's safe because they don't need to go out. So we really see the increase in volume as well in enrollments when we distribute via online lending apps as compared to our partners, for example, that are MFI partners that are heavily reliant to face-to-face transactions. But of course, we know, as mentioned earlier, the use of these applications, you need to have smartphones and good internet connection. So I think that's where the barrier is when it terms of distributing to low-income communities.
Thank you, Miss May. Now we go to Sir Jimmy. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Just like to comment that I fully agree with that statement that insurance still has to be sold, pushed, what have you, because regardless of what platform we have done in the past or are going to do in the future, I think that will continue to be a truism. On the product side, where the reinsurance is playing, of course, we are doing our end on how to make it as simple as possible. And what we've seen so far in the past couple of years is that the trend is really towards simpler requirements, if at all possible. Thereby, we have these things like simplified issue offers or guaranteed issue offers to select groups. And there are actually some requests that to offer these kinds of things to any group at all. But this is really just a matter of figuring out what other controls we can put into place and how much loading we will be putting in into the premiums to offset that additional mortality and that some anti-selection from such offers as well. So it's really striking a balance as we continue to go into this pandemic and try to figure out the simple products that can be offered. Of course, another approach is really to begin with, what information do we have in the first place? If what we have is just like what Mr. Chan mentioned, we have 7 fields only, then what product can we develop on that basis, rather than force fitting it? So what we have, let's figure out what we can offer. So that would definitely be the moderate to low coverages. But like what has happened in the past, they're very creative. They bundle it with other benefits, other services that are non-insurance, like the telemedicine and so on, so that the entire package becomes quite interesting and still has that unique selling points. So the idea is to really get the customer first using these simple products. And then once we have them as customers, then we try to upsell with better benefits and more information that we can gather from them and so on. So it's really a journey rather than a one-off kind of a thing. So of course, reinsurance, its traditional role, can just have to emphasize that we do support insurance companies, MBAs, and the like in terms of providing that risk capital. Now, of course, depending on the objective as well as the risk appetite, any kind of structure we can develop really to maximize the utility of said capital or manage the risk that they're taking on. This can range from basic arrangements like quota share or excess of loss or catastrophic loss arrangements, but we can even go to things like financial reinsurance arrangements, co-insurance and modified co-insurance, where there's a utility of that capital we're talking about. So that's on the product side. My thoughts on the digitization of distribution are, of course, in the same direction as at what the presentation did. It's not something that we did as an industry only in the last couple of years. We've been trying to do it ever since, but it's really been accelerated with all of the events. I suppose I just want to highlight a few things that can be, a critical success factors as we go into this one. We always have been selling products based on product features and price, but now has been changing, right? So it's the term customer experience or CX is becoming one of the buzzwords now as a deciding factor from the consumer because it's not enough just feature and price. Now it's how they use, how they experience, what is the experience, and so on. So we did a lot of things towards customer experience online and offline and so on. But like what Mr. Chan mentioned, people still do not wake up just to buy insurance. But it is, evolving now to a point that, people look at insurance as something that they just buy and set aside until you want to claim. It's becoming more interactive as we go along. And this is really brought about by experience with other brands and other commodities in the market. So as consumers, all of us, tayong lahat, if we if we experience it from the likes of Amazon, a 24-hour delivery, for instance, that kind of customer service level, your expectation of the others will also increase. So it's really cascading through all industries, insurance included. So this drive to make insurance products more inclusive and accessible, it really requires us to again take a look at every stage of the value chain, from the sales and marketing to the underwriting to the claim and to the renewal. So whenever we re-engineer or build this new digital platform, um, the experience has to be properly thought of. You sit down, you have a workshop with all the people involved, and you do an MVP, the minimum viable product, and you gather everyone, right? So from the marketing, from the finance and so on. So it needs that, constant collaboration from the entire organization. So buying experience, so app or mobile only, how many clicks do you actually need, right, to be able to purchase? What data do you need to provide? How long do you actually need to take? Yeah, the fallout as it becomes more difficult, is becoming really relevant. So communication, how was it? How many SMSs did I receive for me to click on that site and so on? What was the policy servicing? How many channels are there? How to file a claim? Online, offline, or combination thereof. So renewal as well. So SMS only or what have you. So maybe to wrap it all off, while focusing on the usual pain points and moments of truth, that remains important. The three innovations really will be coming from, I think, in areas where we can reduce that friction, how to make things more efficient operationally, so that we can build trust and then drive customer loyalty. So having that 360-degree view of the customer and understanding their journey, both at the macro and micro level, will definitely be vital to create that very nice product and to have that competitive advantage. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we go on to Mr. Chanko. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. To all the participants and to my co-panelists. So, being another insurance company, I really was able to relate what Mr. Chan mentioned about how the pandemic impacted our industry. So, being an HMO or a health maintenance organization, one thing that we really saw that was impacted was the adoption rate for telemedicine. So we're like what Mr. Lorenzo Chan mentioned, we already had it in place pre-pandemic. It was already there for several years. But when the pandemic started, we experienced exponential growth. McKinsey actually said that the adoption rate for telemedicine was 38 times what it what it was prior to the pandemic. For us in PhilCare, I'd say it was about a 30 time or 3,000% increase in the volume of telemedicine calls that we got. So that's one thing that we saw. And also, not only that, because having a telemedicine platform, that's one thing, but also adapting that platform into something more. Like initially, what we started with was just GPs and family medicine. But later on, all the other specialists, we started to make that available to our clients. So we had cardio and media, even derma. Surprisingly, derma was one of the more availed services, probably because lahat tayo nakamask eh. Kakaroon tayo ng pit sa mukha. So that's one thing na highly availed service namin. So so it started there. And then during the pandemic also, the adoption rate of paperless, again, is something that really jumped leaps and bounds. There was so much resistance before coming from providers. When I say providers, these are hospitals and clinics to paperless. Gusto nga nila may hawak. But because of the pandemic, there was a shift. They had no choice to go through a paperless process. So now we're seeing that transaction times are a lot faster because of that paperless process that we've been trying to push all this time. And also for the e-wallets, a lot of us, there was some hesitation with e-wallet. Siyempre, gusto natin, may hawak natin yung pera. But now, because again, we're forced to move to these channels, there's so much, transactions are a lot faster. So with all these changes that are happening, it's also very important for insurance companies to also adapt to these changes. You can't just say that, okay, we launched a telemedicine platform and just keep it at that. Because as the pandemic changes or pandemic evolves, we too have to evolve. Like example, medyo nag-stabilize na yung telemedicine, going back to telemedicine. We were averaging about 200 per day na transactions, let's say. Then come Omicron, where just recently, this again jumped several 100% because of everyone was doing consultations, everyone wanted get an RT-PCR test, and we had to adapt to that quickly also. So we deployed more doctors, changed some things in the process so that our members could get access to a doctor faster. So these are the things that we have to. So agility in the time of pandemic is really also very important. So it's also very, like I mentioned, you have to know what your clients need and what your client wants. So what we did was in 2020 and 2021, we commissioned a study. We called it Philippine Wellness Index, but focus now on the community quarantine and the pandemic. So in 2020, we did a survey around second quarter of the year, and in 2021, around third quarter of the year. It's an open survey to several, not just PhilCare members. I mean, this is across all segments and all demographics. And then from there, we're able to really pinpoint what the Filipinos want and what Filipinos need. And that influenced how we came up with products that cater to the specific needs of the Philippines. So I guess those are the two things that I'd like, or my key takeaways are adoption, how everyone adopted to changes, and adaption, where insurance companies, partners really have to adapt to the current situation to remain relevant.
Salamat, sir. Now we go to Sir Earl Maniebo.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, currently, we're experiencing na yung transition, ano? Before, itong Microinsurance Forum, nasa isang big venue lang. So, currently, nasa big space tayo, no? Nandyan kayo sa favorite seats nyo. So, ganun ka-convenient right now yung transition na experience natin. But I really appreciated, Sir Chan, ano? Human touch still the essential part in this microinsurance. But due to some restriction, we good to hear the blended approach as Mr. Chan presented. We have no choice or options, but need to adapt these transitions. We need to deliver, of course, and distribute what those needs and requirements of our consumers or clients to reach our target retentions and retain the business. So like Mr. Chan shown, consumers are looking for easy way, and convenient mode of payment. That's the needs from the consumers. So we need to respond quickly, that we must accelerate the process to supplement these requirements. The 2 years in pandemic continue challenge and test our flexibilities in all areas. But the significant thing is the organizations, just stay connected with our partners, of course, our members, and ready at all times. The best way is do unlimited kamustahan with our partners and members. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all our panel of reactors. So we can now open the floor for open discussion. You can type in your questions, and also you can raise your hands. Any question from the participants?
Marilyn?
Yes, sir.
Marilyn, I
Go ahead.
actually while we're waiting for people to put their questions, I actually have a reaction to Raymond's to one of the items Raymond mentioned. He said telemed increased 38 times. No, even for them, it's just huge increases. And when Omicron occurred, even larger. and he was saying that they were a bit caught off guard, no, that derma was such a high service that was required, no. Raymond, why do you think that is so? Is it bakit napaka-high ng demand ng derma? Is it because natatakot mga taong pumangit o what's the reason? Bawal bang pumangit kahit na naka-mask?
Well, ako, guilty din nga ako because I actually consulted also with derma. Well, actually, one of the main causes, because when we look nga at the utilization, ano ba yung driving nito, we saw that a lot of people were wearing, di ba, masks. And it's called, actually, there's a term now called maskne, or acne from mask, or from wearing masks. Okay. So, syempre, naka-mask tayo lagi. So, syempre, yung pawis, yung, I guess, bacteria, it's all there. So, di ba, bawal din natin hawakan yung mukha natin. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng mga pimples sa mukha. So that's one thing that's really driving derma consultations. A lot of people are consulting regarding that. The other ones naman, the usual of, say, mga rashes that come out, things like. So yun ang one of the main causes kung bakit derma was surprised me, one of the higher things being available.
Thank you, sir. Sir, ako din may tanong. And anyone can answer. Sir Lorenzo, please feel free to answer. Kasi one of the things that I've been observing among the staff or anyone that we have been interacting since the pandemic is maraming nade-depress, maraming nagkakaroon ng mental health issues. So are there any like a microinsurance or an insurance product that would somehow address this aside from the usual consultation fee insurance? So, meron na bang nakapag-isip na mag-insurance for this? Kasi napaka-rampant ngayon, lalo na yung mga medyo at the younger age generation, napaka-rampant ng depression at this time. So, meron na po ba na nakapag-isip ng some insurance for an insurance product for that?
I'd like
if
to.
I may,
go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's actually an HMO thing. Most HMOs I see, it's not really covering
yes,
the
sir, it's not covered.
Issues, but they do provide a lot of forums where they invite subject matter experts, doctors, or and the like to really provide a lot of tips and suggestions to people on how to handle all of this mental health situations from whatever cause, whether it's just COVID driven or in general. So it's really what I mentioned earlier. You have your basic insurance product, but you wrap it with other services that are relevant as well. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, may tanong.
Yeah, just to add to that also. Yeah, so that was actually when we did the surveys, that was also one thing that really came out dun sa respondents na a lot are concerned with mental wellness. So that's another service that we added, especially for our corporate clients, called it Mind Care. So now our members can have access to mental health consultations with licensed mental health counselors. Discuss nga ano yung mga nararamdaman, because we saw na yun yung mga main concerns during the pandemic. Nakakalabas ng bahay, people were worried about losing their jobs, people were worried about saan sila kukuha ng gamot, saan sila kukuha ng pagkain during the first part of the pandemic. And then later on naman, sa tagal natin sa bahay, nagkakaroon din ng issues with family issues naman. So at least we were able to introduce this service around third quarter of 2020 to give our members a way to express those feelings or talk to someone who can professionally help them. We also made this service available through sachet or prepaid plans at least anyone can access them, not only PhilCare corporate.
Sir, thank you. Interesting yung sachet insurance for mental health. Interesting po yan. We'll go back to that sometime. Ang isang tanong na nakita natin sa chat box, what value daw can partnerships bring in driving product and distribution innovation? So may value ba ang partnerships? Can it make things better?
If I may, I can
Yes, sir.
volunteer to start off. Very valuable. The right partners are very valuable. The wrong partners are not. So what is the right partner? The right partner is different for every company that looks for one. The right partner should be one that shares your values and that shares your goals and that shares the same objectives. There has to be alignment. And whereas the right partnership will want proper profit. Profit is not the be all and end all. It is the sustainability of a program that provides outreach, that fills the protection gap, that builds resiliency. Because if the partners are not able to see beyond that, it will not work. And I can guarantee that. And so why do we need partnerships? Because no one can do it alone. There's 110 million Filipinos. We need to help. And it's growing as we speak now. Now they're multiplying and procreating. There's going to be more next year when we gather here together. How are we going to reach out if we don't do it through partnerships? Partnerships, some bring knowledge and technical know-how, and then even represented here, diba? We have healthcare, we have reinsurances, diba? We have platform distribution, we have MFIs. We each have a part because we each bring something to the table. And very often it has to be access to a bigger market. And why is a partner important? Because the partner may not trust the insurer, but they will trust. They will trust their local MFI. They will trust their local pawn shop. They will trust their local supplier. Kasi they're familiar. Kilala nila eh. Familiar na sila eh. So there's this element of comfort, no? And so you hope to ride on that, if you share the same values, you hope to ride on that partnership and parlay that into something they can try and test.
Yes, sir. Napakaganda po niyang inyong sinabi. Partnership is very valuable if you have the right partner. And thank you for the points on ano ba yung right partner talaga. Another question po is, this is for Sir Lorenzo. Can you talk about low-income customer response and what have been the pain points, action taken? Particularly po ito sa intro ng business continuity insurance.
Okay. When we were going into we're doing micro, a lot of micro, and business interruption is an enigma. Because traditional business interruption is marami kang hinihingi, di ba? Kailangan may records of how long have you been in the business, the normal volume, declarations, di ba? In other words, marami kang hinihingi, no? At karapat-dapat naman kasi minsan napakalaking mga amount, no, na kiniklaim. But we're talking about micro. As I said, diba? It's a sari-sari store operation. It's a stall in the market. Diba? What's that going to be? And we made it straightforward. No, I think we built that in really. Somebody mentioned bundling. No? So we built that in with some PA cover for the owner. We built that in with a basic fire benefit. No, and the interruption is a straightforward 10,000 pesos. No, 5,000 right now, but we're going to build it up. And the whole arising out of a fire, flood, typhoon, etc. No, and the whole issue is that when does it kick in? Diba? Traditional business interruption kicks in after a week, 2 weeks, and then marami pang hinihintay, may surveyor, may adjuster. No, well, unfortunately, here it kicks in after 1 to 2 days because it is earmarked for the market. Okay, your traditional big time manufacturers and business owners can wait for a week, a month, or even longer. But your mom and pop store, your vendor in the market cannot wait for that. It's a hand to mouth. It is a very different existence. The requirements, the needs are very different, and we have to adjust ourselves to them. And so I think to Jesse who asked it, no, very early days pa. We developed it during the lockdown. We got it approved during the lockdown. Subsequently, finally got it approved, hooray, during the lockdown by the IC. And so we're just rolling it out in the market. Ask me that 6 months from now, I'll give you a report. But the pain points, guys, the pain points is that natatakot ang mga tao. Ano mangyayari sa kanila, di ba? Kapag, it's been damaged. It's been, sorry, Marilyn. The real reason why we launched is just really because there was a need for it. People kept saying, you pay me for the fire damage, you pay me for the flood damage. But then I've had to close down my shop, for 2 weeks para maibalik. Anong mangyari sa akin, di ba? Can I get insurance for that? And the answer is yes, they can. Yes, you can.
Yes, sir. We did well with that business continuity insurance. Mahirap pero it's all worth in the end naman. Maraming mga small business owners ang matutulungan nito. For Mr. Chanko of PhilCare, meron daw po kayong statistics of low-income customer uptake ng inyong teleconsult program? So meron daw po ba tayong naging particular action on how we can reach the lower income groups in terms of the teleconsult program, of your teleconsult program?
Yeah, I think, I don't have the exact statistics, but based on our experience also, a large part of the portfolio that we have are more of corporate accounts. That's why adoption rate was good. But one of the main barriers for telemedicine kasi, like what also Lorenzo showed in his presentation, was connectivity. So we do have these facilities, but the main trigger point kasi is you still have to make that initial request through mobile phone. Made it easier, can access it through the app, through the internet sana. But you still need data. And then once you make that initial request, it's already PhilCare who will the call. So wala ka nang babayaran na, hindi ka na mababawasan ng load, hindi ka na mababawasan ng data, because it's our system who call you. So that makes it easier for the member, at least dun sa aspect na yun. But the initial trigger point or initial barrier talaga is still data connect. So there are ways that we're looking at to make it more accessible nga. Like example, whitelisting yung app with telcos para kahit wala kang load, ma-access mo pa rin yun, or wala kang data, ma-access mo pa rin yun. So these are things that we're working on to make the service more accessible. Sorry I wasn't able to provide the specific statistics, but I guess it is a challenge that we recognize, and we're working towards a solution for that.
Yes, sir. Kahit naman I think saan yung mga digital platforms natin, talagang ang nagiging challenge ng mga clients is digital connectivity to data. And syempre yung paggastos din nila, kasi when you, like for example, when you do teleconsult, kailangan mabuti sa PhilCare, they take care of that. Pero the others, kailangan ng load para maka-avail ng mga teleconsult na mga services. So another question po, and after this question, I'm gonna entertain pa maybe 1 or 2 questions pa. So another question po is, ano daw po yung mga hybrid na high-tech and high-touch customer experience na particularly na experience natin? So meron bang mga naging bagong role ang mga agents and brokers natin kung i-combine natin yung high-tech and high-touch approaches? Anyone can answer po.
I think, if I may, Marilyn, I just get it started. No, what we do for renewals now, no, and what we do for initial cases. During the initial lockdown, nung may nagte-text, nung nag-Facebook message, nag-FB, no, na, oy, paano to, i-renew ko na, pero hindi pa ako makabayad, etc. That's digital. That's digital. Pero, diba? And so we took the option of calling them back, no. So when you do that, it becomes an interaction. And then you assure them that don't worry, this is going to be. So that's a blend already of that. Other instances is that when the lockdown was lifted, di ba? So ayan, pwede nang uli lumabas mga ating mga micro agents, no? So they fulfill a role, no, in reassuring them na kumusta na po kayo, etc., convincing new people to do uptakes, no. Pero yung renewal, pwede nang gawin online, di ba? So that's still a blended approach, all right? Now, I really think in the micro area, there'll still be a requirement for face-to-face agent interactions for quite some time if they do it right. Because ibang-iba the micro market trusts their own, so they're familiar with their own. So these people who take on this role do have a responsibility to offer it and sell it properly. And then sa aking karanasan sa mga agents, and I know that this is going to be very controversial, no, for social economic classes, the micro agents still adhere to the real notion that insurance selling is to help people. And I've seen that with so many micro agents I deal with. Minsan hindi pa makabenta, hindi pa nakatarget yung kanilang mga kasamahan. Magbebenta sila para matulungan yung kanilang kasamahan, para makredit. Subject, AB market, agents, mga sosyal. I cannot see that happening. Di ba? Nag-aagawan. Di ba? Nagbakbakan, nag-aagawan. Di ba? And there's no talk about, all the talk about helping each other is really so that they will be successful, they'll go up the stage and earn millions of pesos. So there is a real difference. And so in the micro sector, because we're still rolling it out, no, the concept of insurance and protection, I think a lot of the agents still believe that what they do nakakatulong. In fact, a lot of the coverages from insurance, Marilyn, they don't call it a beneficio, they call it tulong. May nanggaling na ng tulong mula sa insurer. Dumating na po ang tulong na hinanap namin. They look at it as that. And that's fine. And that's fine, because isn't that the criticism of a lot of traditional people? Aanhin nila yung 5,000, aanhin nila yung 10,000. Kulang na kulang yan, di ba? Wala pa yan, hindi pa yan sapat para mag-dinner tayo sa labas, di ba? Kanya lang, para sa microsector, 5,000 is a lot, 10,000 is a lot. It is that, it makes a difference between continuity and inability to get on. Di ba? And so it does vary. Sorry, it's a very long answer to a very short question.
Yes.
Yeah. Tama naman, sir. And I think one of the things talaga that if you are in a microinsurance market is yung timing, gaano mo kabilis din i-disburse yung benefits. Kasi they need this is the market that it's very important to them. Hindi na masyadong importante kung gaano kalaki. Kasi most naman are mutual benefits, pero importante kung gaano kabilis. So, yun yung one of the most valuable characteristic na kung bakit talaga napaka-importante sa micro market yung microinsurance and at the time na kailangan nila. So, that's a very good point, sir. So,
Marilyn, may I ask a question to all my fellow panelists?
Yes, sir, go ahead. We still have time.
I think we all 5 of us, all 6 of us agree that much has happened, digitalization, tech, etc. No? Nag-advance na yan, yung ating dating ginagawa na-accelerate. No? So a lot of progress has been made. Kanya lang medyo kinakabahan ako kasi may holdouts pa, di ba? May mga Jurassic holdouts pa tayo, di ba? Yung mga gustong bumalik sa maraming papel, di ba? At cash payment, at face-to-face interaction para mag-ubuhan tayo sa isa't isa, di ba? Do you think, if and when we get out of the pandemic, do you think we will ever go back to the way we were? Or do you think the advances we have made will stay on? What is your assessment? Or what is your fearless forecast? All of you, including you, Marilyn.
Sino pong gustong mag-start?
I may answer first, Miss Marilyn.
Yes, Madge.
I think we will move forward with the use of technology, sir. It's an expensive investment So parang what's the point, right? Diba, of investing if hindi mo siya. And well, the future generations are generations of app users already. So I think dun talaga yung patutungo.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
I would
truly
echo, I
agree.
suppose, that the sentiments. Any new technology, there will always be holdouts, there, di ba, sir? Um, until they become the real minority left behind. Take the smartphone for instance. Di ba? We loved our Nokia's before.
Mm.
Durable, it's reliable. You drop it in the water, it still works, and so on. But that was killed by something nicer, and then now, yeah, 52%, according to the poll earlier, that have smartphones. I think it's going the same way. When people feel and have that nice experience digitally, there's no looking back anymore, I think.
Yes, totoo yan, sir.
Yeah.
In my line of work, I don't think we're ever going back to tons and tons of paper. Kasi sabi nga ni Madge, iba na ang direksyon ng investments. Hindi na papunta sa manual na libo-libong printer ang binibili. Hindi na po ganon. So, like sa office namin talaga, we really have cut down very, very significantly yung investment sa supplies. So, yeah.
Yes, hello. Just to add lang yung
Yes,
question ni
Sir Earl.
yung question ni Sir Lorenzo. I think sir, we will pa rin in terms of product designing, malaking investment ng ginawa natin kasi before pre-pandemic, you have only one meetings per client. You need to travel para lang ma-reach mo, makuha mo yung information. Right now, the transition is around 4 to 5, 6 meetings a day. Right? So, I think kung titingnan natin yung productivity, so siguro on the product design, initially, we can use that. But on the ground, in the after sales, so it's blended, pero may residue pa, Sir Lorenzo, yung in terms of product design. So that's it.
Yeah. So exactly like what Earl mentioned. There are things na, di ba, right now, nauso nga yung term na new normal. So ito na yun eh. There are things that we've experienced during the pandemic to persist move forward. Like yan, yung e-wallets, telemedicine. The barrier lang kasi there was, it was something new and hindi nila alam okay ba siya or not. But ngayon na-experience na nila na okay pala to. So that's why those barriers have been taken down already. So, but there are things naman that I think will still persist. Or will still go back to what it was before because you're talking about something cultural. Yung Pinoy kasi gusto talaga natin yung face-to-face. May kausap tayo. So I think yung selling natin, lalo na yung mga partner natin na MBAs and institutions, importante talaga yung pagbisita natin sa mga nanay, sa pagkausap sa kanila para talagang maintindihan nila yung produkto. Like you said nga, it's a insurance product. It has to be pushed by someone you trust. And it's really hard to build that rapport over Zoom or through digital. Kaya kailangan talaga, I think yun yung one thing na di mawawala sa microinsurance is yung face-to-face na interaction.
Yeah.
Agree.
Additional,
Agree
sir,
talaga,
Ma'am
sir.
Marilyn.
Yes, Sir Earl.
Yes, especially Sir Lorenzo pagdating ng calamity, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
lahat
Yeah.
ng nasa offices natin, nasa ground na to disburse the claim. So I think tama kayo, it's blended pa rin. And then siguro tignan natin yung productivity side. Saan tayo mas nakakarami ng clients pagdating sa selling, and then on the after sales, siguro kailangan talaga ng human touch, So kailangan puntahan yung mga nasiraan ng bahay. So yun yung practice even before pre-pandemic and right now mas mahalaga. So thank you.
Yes,
No,
sir.
thanks. I think all your answers are very reassuring, no? Kasi for a while, sometimes I have nightmares that we wake up and then we're out of this pandemic and then we're all back to the same square one, di ba? As May put it perfectly. Why invest in so much technology if we're gonna go back to paper, di ba? Really? And I guess you guys said it best, no? The youth, the millennials are the core component of the market. Diba? There will be our clients, our employees, our agents, our staff, our market. Diba? And they're not going to turn back. So yeah, thank you. I mean, that was terrific. I feel very reassured.
Some comments po from our participants. Yes, personal touch is very important. And sabi po ni Mr. Venera Abellera, he agrees fully with Mr. Lorenzo that microinsurance is very important. And one last question. This is for Sir Jaime, I think, from NATRE. Sir, ano daw po yung mga key areas to consider in making possible a COVID-19 reinsurance treaty with the microinsurance providers? Like, for example, the mutuals.
Yeah, we do have reinsurance for COVID products. It's basically no different from what we have offered to the insurance companies. Of course, for it to be relevant, we're talking, for example, you get hospitalized for COVID, right? The amounts there definitely runs into a few hundred thousands already. So for it to be relevant to the micro insurance segment, we need to take a look at what's the benefit level we're looking at. Is it still going to be relevant or not? So yeah, we're open to discussion, obviously, on the COVID, and in fact, we're talking about the COVID um, cover also for some MBAs. That's currently on discussion.
Okay, sir. I'm sure this will be taken up in further discussions. Okay, so we are at the end of our panel. Maraming salamat, Sir Lorenzo. And you always amaze us. Pagdating sa Thank you, sir. And maraming salamat din po sa ating panel of reactors. You all have gave significant points dito sa ating panel discussion this afternoon. So nakita natin from the presentations and from the reaction that there is a situationer nasa presentation po yan ni Sir Lorenzo and how using technology in the distribution evolved. Nakita natin na pre-pandemic pa pala, marami na talagang efforts on digitalization. So ano yung mga new products na naging importante ngayon nung nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic and paano din nabasa ng industry ang mga bagong trends na ito. And sa panel of reactors naman natin, sabi ni Ms. Armada, she agreed on the blended approach. And si Sir Jaime naman highlighted that insurance still needs to be sold. Kasi sa lahat ng ating ginagawa ngayon, hindi mapapakinabangan ng ating mga kababayan ng insurance kung hindi natin ito at the end of the day ay maiibenta. So, Sir Jaime also stressed the importance of reading the market armed with data and information. So, nakita ko talaga maganda yung sinabi niya, this should be a customer journey. So, mag-offer ka muna ng simpleng product sa umpisa and then you build from there. Si Mr. Chanko naman, he shared their experience in PhilCare, yung kanilang medical consulting, and surprisingly nga, natanong din ni Sir Lorenzo yung bakit nag-uptake ang derma consultations, and then there you are, yun pala ang sagot. So, si Mr. Maniebo naman, he also stressed the importance of adapting. And dito po sa session na ito, there are 3 words that I want all of the participants to take home, and that is adapting to the disruptions that have been brought by this pandemic, and blended, because we can't do away with face-to-face still, because yun nga sinasabi natin paulit-ulit, kailangan ng human touch dahil sa industriya natin kung nasaan tayo, which is microinsurance, napakahalaga na tayo kilala at pinagkakatiwalaan ng ating mga kliyente. And push, nakuha natin yan kay Sir Lorenzo. Yun nga, sasabihin natin na hindi mapapakinabangan ang lahat ng maganda nating ginagawa kung at the end of the day ay hindi naman ito mabibili ng ating mga target clients. So yun po, maraming salamat and I hope po may napulot tayo and we did justice to the time that you have spent listening to us. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you very much. No? So, adapting, blended, and push. So, thank you, Miss Marilyn, Sir Lorenzo, Miss Madge, Sir Jaime, Sir Raymond, and Sir Earl for that very engaging and wonderful discussion. So, kitang-kita naman po na yung expression ng ating mga audience sa appreciation sa ating naging discussion. So, again, thank you very much po for your precious time. So, bigyan naman po natin ng virtual clap ang ating mga panelists. Ayan, so ating mga participants. So thank you so much po once again. And so at this point, may I invite po again our panelists to turn on your camera para sa ating picture taking. So souvenir po. And may we also invite na rin si Miss Audry del Gallego of Yondu Inc. to join us in the picture taking. So kindly spotlight na lang po si Miss Audry. And so i-full screen ko lang po. Okay, Miss Audry, are you in? So kindly spotlight po si Miss Audrey. Okay, so let's start na po muna for the first screenshot. So smile po. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. So, ayan. So, maraming salamat po ulit sa ating mga panelists. So, ayan. As I mentioned, we are now down to the second part of our session this afternoon. So, this will be a feature presentation po, no? Still related to innovations, this time focusing on technology. So, yung mga available technology that we can maximize for our business. So our feature presenter is a business development manager at Yondu, whose team handles the banking, financial services, and insurance sector. She has conducted seminars, workshops, and hosted forums for her clients during her 6 years in banking and asset management. Yondu is a top IT solutions company wholly owned by Globe, and their mission is to help businesses transform and accelerate in the new digital economy and empower enterprises across various industries through our top-notch technology solutions that bring outstanding customer experience to contribute to business growth and ultimately to a digital savvy and the future-ready Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Ms. Audry Del Gallego.
Hello and good afternoon, MIMAP. It's nice to meet you all. Thank you for inviting me to talk today about technology in the Philippines coming into 2022. Okay, sharing my screen. So I'd like to talk about in partnership with Globe. So we're leveraging technology and reaping its maximum potential for your microinsurance businesses. So we know that, 2 years into this pandemic, we've experienced a lot of changes and we had to make do with certain restrictions for the sake of our safety and the safety of our customers. So we had to change the way we conducted our business while still meeting their needs and client demands as well. So we had to keep the ball and business rolling despite all of these things. So that's what people say, we have to be resilient in these times. So it's been going on for 2 years and I'm pretty sure, given where we are today, we are very resilient. So having gone through those changes, we realized certain things, and one of which is technology now allows people to connect anytime, anywhere, to anyone in the world, almost from any device. So we find out that the mindset of our customers are also changing, given that they're given access in the comforts of their own home and almost any device that they're holding as well in this year. So we see that our customers change as long as the trends change as well. So they want things to be accessible. They want things to be quick. I need it now, ahora mismo. When I order it, I want it to be here in a certain number of days. So there's a certain level of expectation when they order things or when they buy things from us. So we've seen different stages of quarantine, how we were able to also adapt, or what we call survive, adapt, and evolve. So during the surviving part, when it started during the pandemic, so the first thing we were looking at was business continuity. Oh gosh, how am I going to keep the business afloat when I have to pay my employees? So you look at it in that continuing point of view. And then next you look at how am I going to generate revenue given this new movement that we're experiencing? Do we have solutions that can help us justify the cost? Like, is there a need for this, etc.? Next, we adapt. So our management is thinking of new solutions that will enable quick process and changes throughout that adaption stage. So we have to be resilient, as what we said. And then next would be, finally, we evolve. So we're stepping up in our digital transformation, so at least we can still meet our business goals. So the goals change from when we entered into this 2-year experience. So it's not just after changing, but we also have to continue climbing as well. So together with Globe, our business has really been going beyond telco, and it's really expanding its footprint in the IT sector. So we have, apart from connectivity, we're also looking at security. I'm sure you guys already seen a lot in the news. Security is a very big item na they're throwing around, that you have to be careful when you do online shopping, as well as breaches as well. So we're expanding into that sector so that we want to know that when our clients experience something like this, we're also here to help them. We also support them in cloud, which we'll talk about later. We'll go over it, as well as data analytics. So we'll be sharing with you certain actual use cases that I have with my clients. So it's to help you guys sort of match the experience that you're probably experiencing now, as well as the experiences that clients that we've already helped with. So in this case, sensya na po, hindi na pwede natin sabihin yung banko. So it's a universal bank. So what they wanted kasi is that in GCash, there are certain, if you are a GCash user, you know that there are certain features. Merong G-Life, merong G-Save, merong G-Insure, tapos meron pang bills payment. Tapos sa loob po nun, there is an app or feature called G-Save. So ang goals po nito, it's for to give your customers access through saving opportunities through GCash. So instead of going directly to the bank, ang ginawa natin para sa banko nito is that kinonect namin sa GCash. So pagbukas mo ng GCash, lalabas yung banko na yun, tapos pwede ka na mag-top up, pwede ka mag-save, at saka pwede ka na mag-invest. Kesa pupunta ka sa banko. So at least, in terms of accessibility, kahit saan pwede kasi mobile app naman po siya. So ang hinahanap natin is na, syempre hindi magkakaiba, gusto rin ng banko na yung itsura niya parang yung style niya eh. Kasi this bank has certain features and themes, so they want it to look the same. So yung customization naman nun, kaya naman siya to match ng hinahanap nila. And of course, it has to be cost efficient. So syempre po, if you want to build yourself a mobile app na from scratch, mas mahal po talaga siya kung gagawin nyo na kayo lang ng mobile app versus kung makikiride kayo dun sa GCash, it's cheaper because parang mini mobile app siya. So parang ang lumalabas po, app within an app po yun. So it's more cost efficient po that way in joining GCash in that manner. So para at least you get to, your customers have access to your services, and as well as you get to tap new clients sa mga GCash subscribers. Next po, si microfinancing po. Ang use case naman po ito is, ang nangyari po sa kanila is that they bought po, meron silang existing mga sistema. So meron silang mga client services, CRM tool po, so client relations management. So were to manage their clients, meron makita yung mga loans nila, yung mga outstanding loans, pagkano interest, etc. Tapos meron silang mga mobile app, etc. So mga existing na po yun. So in this case po nangyari, since microfinancing po siya, wala silang IT department. So bali puro mga marketing, ops, sales lang yung structure ng business nila. So pagdating sa mga support, kapag nag-error yung mga system or nagda-down siya, walang makakatulong, walang nag-aayos noon. So mag-outsource pa. So nung pumasok po kami dito, Globe and Yondu, ang ginawa natin is that, sige kami na po magsusupport. So every month, nag-aayos kami ng mga bug fixes, mga incidents kapag nag-down siya. And then ang maganda po dito is may enhancement pa. So, syempre may wishlist po sila eh. So, syempre ito parang kumbaga ang base features lang nila. Itong mga applications namin kaya can do ABC. Pero syempre we want to grow na expand our business. Gusto namin na mas malaki outside Metro Manila na yung clientele namin and even international. So in order to do that, ang ginawa namin, binigyan po namin sila ng mga developers. So yung mga gusto na ng features na ipa-implement, kaya naman gawin through dito. So nagsusupport kami, nag-aayos ng mga errors, yung mga sira, ganun. Tapos meron yung improvement po ng gusto lang gawin. So mas flexible po to, yung managed services, in the sense na meron kang mga resources na that you can depend on. Yeah. Dito naman po sa insurance, mas makaka-relate po tayo since microinsurance naman po tayo. So meron din po kaming insurance company din. So mas very large company, conglomerate po siya. So ang nangyari po dito since ang status naman po ito sa insurance company, meron na silang IT company. So meron siyang mga IT heads, meron silang mga project managers, ganun. Pero sa sobrang dami nilang project ng gustong gawin, marami lang goals ng itong company. Gusto sila magpalagay ng chatbot, mag-re-platform ng website, gusto magpagawa ng teleconsult app, tapos gusto magpagawa ng policy claims. Kasi itong mga to ay need ng business nila for their clients para mas magandang experience sa mga customers nila. So sa dami ng project, mas kailangan din ng tao para gawin ito. So since meron silang existing, kailangan na ng pagdagdag para sa mga yan. So ang binigay namin sa kanila is mga developers, ito po, mga programmers po, ito po ang kailangan nyo. So 6 months, then magkatrabaho po sila. Same thing din po for project managers. Kailangan may manager dito na nag-manage itong mga developers, mga analysts, mga testers as well. So depende po talaga sa mga need ng mga kliyente. Doon kami pumapasok at minimatch namin yung kailangan. Usually kasi pagdating, one of the things na in-experience po natin is kapag mga clients na new to IT or new to digitization, like, paano yan? Hindi naman intindihan yung mga IT yan, mga mobile app, mga dev na yun. Komplikado, lalo na, yung karamihan po kasi new pa, hindi pa na-experience pa ng ganun. So, normally naman kasi sa pre-say na, hindi naman po talaga complicated yun. Case in point, yung microinsurance, wala po silang IT. So, ang ginawa, kami na po nagtulong para sa kanila. So, meron po talagang maraming pong choices. Depende po sa structure nyo na yun. Tapos kung gusto nyo kung saan makarating. So, meron kami maraming services for this one. So, it really depends on how you guys want to approach it. So, managed services po, ang use case nito is yung na-mention ko pong microfinancing company. So, pwede po tayong mag-support, mag-ayos ng mga fixes. Pwede rin po tayong mag-develop ng mga applications for you. And then same thing also po is consulting. So, if di pa kayo sure kung anong kailangan nyo, pwede tayo magbigay ng consulting services na, sige po, ito yung meron kayo na yun. Ito yung recommendation namin. Ito po yung para pagawa ng execution. So, pwede pong ganun. So, at least from end-to-end cover naman po tayo. For ito naman po si Vessel E-commerce. So dito po pumapasok si G-Life and G-Save namin. So back-end po siya. It's meant po to build your own e-commerce website. Ito naman po si custom software development. So more on customization po to. So minsan kasi may gawa na mga application or sistema sa labas. Tas minsan kasi hindi yan maka-customize kasi syempre as is po siya, hindi yan ma-edit. So if gusto niyo na mas tailor fit po siya na mas swak sa inyo, pwede naman mag-build from scratch through custom software development. Kaya mobile app yun, Android or Apple or iOS, or kung gusto niyo website lang po siya, kaya naman po gawin namin yun. So medyo malaki po yung range po ng services namin sa IT. Same thing po for cloud. So yan, ito po, I will say po from experience, marami pang yung kliyente namin na some are new to cloud. Lalo na kasi na mas sanay sila na on-premise, meaning so office lang yung mga servers nila. Kasi syempre noon, hindi naman kailangan mag-work from home eh. Pero na yun, kakailangan na para mas safe, di ba? And kaya naman para magnegosyo kahit online lang. So syempre, mahirap din mag-connect sa mga servers. So if gusto niyo na mag-access ng database niyo from home, through the internet lang, we can help you migrate sa cloud. So usually the 3 platforms for cloud is Amazon, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. So ito po yung most popular ones that we support you guys in. Okay, so with that, having covered po mga capabilities natin as well as mga use case sa mga kliyente, I hope may na-impart kaming experience that you can resonate with na mas makaka-relate po sa inyo. And ito po yung maging company profile namin to show you where we are and what makes Yondu technology made human.
The secret to business success isn't really a secret. These days, businesses have to adapt quickly and efficiently in order to achieve success. You need to find what works best for your business and its unique needs. And when it comes to accelerating your digital transformation in order to thrive and grow, the secret is Yondu. Because with Yondu as my business's IT partner, I'm able to focus on the things that really matter. Yondu takes care of my business's unique needs, like automating mundane tasks and providing customized IT solutions, allowing it to thrive even in uncertain times. And thanks to their 24/7, 365 support, I can better focus on my customers. No secrets, just swift, relevant, and innovative solutions. With Yondu, my business is ready for any challenge. Accelerate your digital transformation with Yondu, technology made human.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Audrey. So let's give her a virtual clap. So maraming salamat po for sharing with us the available technology solutions that the microinsurance sector can take advantage of, especially this situation po natin ngayon. And we just have one question here in the chat. So paano po maging one of the merchants of GCash? So you've mentioned earlier na minsan parang developing your own app is medyo madaming resources na kailanganin. So pwede natin naman i-integrate sa GCash. And to answer the question, so we have here, so let me check, from Miss Carla. And thank you po, Miss Carla, for sharing. So we can check na lang po itong chat ni Miss Carla to answer the question. So with that, we would like to thank again Miss Audrey for your time. So salamat po. Ayan, so thank you so much, Miss Audrey. And
thank you very much.
Thank you po. And right now, I guess we are ready to proceed sa last part ng ating session. Okay. So we are honored to have once again in our annual forum one of our key partners in the government. Our keynote speaker will brief us on the Philippine economy in 2021 and the road ahead to 2022 and beyond. He has been an Undersecretary of the Department of Finance since 2005. He is also the department's chief economist. He has more than 4 decades of experience in fiscal policy, human resource and operations management, economic policy and research, and financial inclusion policies and strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Undersecretary Phil Beltran.
Esteemed participants and colleagues present here at the virtual National Microinsurance Forum and stakeholders in the Microinsurance Development Program. It is an honor to be part of this event and have this opportunity again to be able to share with you my perspective on the Philippine economy over the last year, how things are shaping up in the medium term, our various initiatives to support affected sectors and to adapt to the new normal, and how we are setting up to sustain our recovery. By looking back, during the past 2 years, which have really been challenging. From 2010 to 2019, we were able to grow at a constant pace. Real GDP growth averaged for the Philippines 6.4% annually. We were in a good position to keep growing and were slated to become an upper middle income economy in 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic then shook up growth prospects for nations around the world due to the impacts of natural disasters, most notable of which was the Taal eruption in early 2020 and the imposition of various levels of community quarantines across the nation to combat the spread of COVID-19. GDP growth for 2020 ended up at negative 9.6%, the first contraction in 22 years. With the arrival of vaccines in our country, combined with a calibrated reopening of the economy, the prospects for 2021 have improved. According to the World Bank in its January 2022 Global Economic Prospects, the Philippine economy could have grown by 5.3% in 2021. Despite the prevalence of new COVID-19 variants during the past year, the outlook for the medium term is more encouraging. While the risks presented by these new COVID-19 variants will still need to be managed prudently, the continued vaccination drive will help provide additional protection to more and more Filipinos. Thus, the DBCC expects real GDP growth to recover to 5 to 5.5% in 2021, 7 to 9% in 2022, and 6 to 7% in 2023, while World Bank pegs it at 5.9% and 5.7% for 2022 and 2023 respectively. Inflation averaged 4.5% in 2021, and we expect it to range between 2 to 4% in the next few years. Trade activity has continued to show signs of recovery from the impacts of the pandemic, and for 2021, exports of goods are projected to grow by 60%, while imports of goods are estimated to grow by 30%. As the government continues to battle against the pandemic, it is a given that we need to spend to fund various economic stimulus and health programs. For our medium-term fiscal program, our latest projections show that revenue collections for 2021 will reach 3.03 trillion pesos, equivalent to 15.5% of GDP. We also estimate revenue will be at 3.3 trillion and 3.62 trillion pesos for 2022 and 2023 respectively, equivalent to 15.3% and 15.5% of GDP. On the other hand, disbursements are expected to reach 4.63 trillion pesos in 2021, equivalent to 23.8% of GDP. Disbursements for 2022 and 2023 are estimated to be 4.95 trillion and 5.06 trillion pesos respectively, equivalent to 23% and 21.6% of GDP. Investing in sound infrastructure has the largest multiplier effect on the economy and will contribute to our recovery efforts. We will continue to invest in developing infrastructure in the medium term, keeping the infrastructure program at around 1.3 to 1.4 trillion pesos from 2022 to 2024, Subsequently, deficits are expected to grow to negative 8.2% of GDP in 2021, 7.7% of GDP in 2022, and 6.1% of GDP in 2023. While deficits are projected to be higher than normal because of the increased spending, we will work to gradually lower this through more robust and efficient revenue collection efforts. We must also continue to observe fiscal responsibility while also keeping in mind that we need to mobilize our financial resources and extend relief and support to those in need. Moving on, given the constraints of the COVID-19 pandemic, face-to-face transactions have been discouraged, and digital transactions have started to emerge as the safer and more convenient option in our new normal. While the pandemic has shown the spotlight on the use of technology and adoption of various digital channels for safety and convenience this year, we at government have also been adopting various digital initiatives over the years. For example, RA 11057 or the PPSA expands the access to finance by allowing for movable assets as collateral. MSMEs, farmers, and fisherfolk can also secure their borrowings by using non-traditional collateral such as accounts receivables, inventory, negotiable instruments, electronic securities, crops, livestock, consumer goods, machinery, equipment, as well as intellectual property rights. Access to finance for micro, small, and medium enterprises will be expanded through the online centralized registry, which has been established by the Land Registration Authority. This will also help smaller borrowers who do not have the traditional fixed assets to secure loans. The LRA has soft-launched the PPSA registry, or PPSR, early this year and has continued to work towards the full implementation and completion of the registry. On the other hand, TradeNet aims to simplify import and export documentary processes, covering an initial 7,400 regulated products. It also serves as our country's link to the ASEAN Single Window Gateway. TradeNet is being rolled out gradually. Currently, there are 22 agencies on board the TradeNet portal. The goal is to have 73 trade regulatory and overnight government agencies fully interconnected under TradeNet. Digitally enhanced administrative reforms being undertaken by the BIR have also contributed to improvements in our tax effort over the past years. This has led to a more convenient and efficient filing of tax payments, especially during these times of pandemic. Last year, almost 100% of annual income tax returns for 2020 was filed electronically. 1.43 million ARTRs were done through the BIR's electronic filing and payment system, while only 7,139 were filed manually. This has continued the trend of using digital means to file AITRs. 51.8% of total AITRs were filed in 2017, 58.25% in 2018, 80.4% in 2019, and 90% in 2020. Revenue collections of the BIR through electronic channels have also continued to be strong, with around 83% of total collections in January to April 2021 being from electronic channels. Government financial institutions also continue to support sectors heavily hit with the pandemic, such as the agriculture and fishing sector and MSMEs. For example, Land Bank reported that it has extended a total of 233.6 billion pesos in loans to the agriculture sector as of October 2021, with nearly 3 million farmers and fishermen being assisted by the bank. PhilGuarantee has also approved a total of 41.7 billion pesos in MSME credit guarantee facilities since March 2020. Along with their other facilities in housing and agriculture sectors, the total credit guarantees add up to nearly 200 billion pesos as of November 2021, helping more than 250,000 beneficiaries from various sectors. Additionally, a small business corporation under the DTI, reported that their Bayanihan Cares program has assisted nearly 40,000 MSMEs through around 6.6 billion pesos in approved loans as of December 31, 2021. On our end, we also pushed for reforms that will help the economy in its path to recovery, and key reforms that have been passed into law last year, such as the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives Act for Enterprises, or CREATE Act, and the Financial Institutions Strategic Transfer FIST Act, will be instrumental in sustaining our recovery. CREATE will help domestic businesses and MSMEs combat the impacts of the pandemic now and make our corporate income tax rates more competitive with the ASEAN region, which will help incentivize further foreign investment. Under CREATE, fiscal incentives will also be better rationalized and needs to be performance-based, strategically targeted, time-bound, and fully transparent. The FIST Act, signed early last year, allows banks to dispose of non-performing loans, freeing up their portfolios and making sure that credit and financing is available for those who need it, such as MSMEs and other heavily hit industries. For bills still in the legislative discussions, we also support the government financial institutions unified initiatives to distressed enterprises for economic recovery, or the GUIDE bill, which will help strategically important companies facing insolvency, and bills that aim to amend the Foreign Investment Act and the Public Service Act, which will incentivize investment into the country. The country's microinsurance coverage continues to grow after we launched the Microinsurance Development Program in 2010. As of end 2020, just a decade after, the industry has a 50 million lives covered, 46.5% of the population. This is the highest coverage among emerging economies. However, farmers' microinsurance needs still need to be developed to make the agriculture sector more competitive and help uplift the economic situation of farmers and their families. There are ongoing plans to develop a viable, private sector-led farmers' microinsurance product. We would like to encourage all our stakeholders to participate in formulating this proposal form. In closing, COVID-19 has changed the global economic landscape with significant number of jobs and business opportunities lost worldwide, and forcing governments and institutions to revise previous economic forecasts downward. On our end, we will continue to embark on reforms and invest in various infrastructures that create jobs and crowd in investment activities to hasten economic recovery. You can also expect us to continue investing in technology in order to link government agencies, including local government units, businesses, and other stakeholders together. While the previous 2 years have been challenging for the Philippines, we are now seeing more green shoots of recovery springing up. Thanks to the availability of vaccines, economies around the world are gradually reopening, but vaccine inequity and hesitancy still provide hurdles to the global response to the virus. We also cannot discount the unpredictability of the virus and its variants. With the arrival of the Delta variant last year, and now the Omicron variant this year, we must continue to be vigilant. We are fighting on multiple fronts. On one side, the battle against the pandemic continues, and on the other, the looming threat of global warming and climate change manifests itself constantly. The lives and property lost in the destruction brought about by Typhoon Odette is just one clear and recent example of the risks global climate change brings to the Philippines. We still have much to do and can only tackle the issues we face properly in solidarity, in the cooperation between the public, the government, and the private sector, and under a whole-of-nation approach. Thank you.
Thank you. So we thank Undersecretary Hill Beltran for sharing with us that we can expect a promising economic prospect this 2022, and for also acknowledging the continuous growth in outreach of the microinsurance sector. So I think we really had another good discussion this afternoon. So of course, thank you to our resource persons and especially to our participants. Thank you for staying until this time, and we apologize that we extended for about 10 to 15 minutes. So at this point, let me just share with you quickly the overview of our sessions tomorrow. So in the morning, we will be joined by Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, Mr. Joey Concepcion, and two leaders from the microfinance and microinsurance industry and the government sector to talk about solutions and initiatives that are needed for business continuity and greater resiliency of MSMEs, especially micro entrepreneurs, and the roles of microinsurance and microfinance against pandemic and climate risks. We will also have two feature presentations on the investment outlook and on mutual microinsurance and the sustainable development goals. In the afternoon for the session 4, Yusek Vergere of the DOH and the HR leaders from our mutual and cooperative insurers will take up the future of work in the post-pandemic world and the strategies being implemented to improve the employment environment towards attracting and retaining talents. So everyone, on behalf of MEMAP, we would like to thank once again our major sponsors, 1CISP, BPI, AMTC, Card MBA, CPMI, Globe Business, NATRI, PhilCare, RMSI, and our microinsurance MBAs. Thank you to our resource persons, guests, and participants. We'll see you again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m.